Hello and welcome to this episode of SAP's S4HANA movement. Today we will focus on vision and strategy. If you recall the first introductory session, we already started talking about the SAP S4HANA movement program, and we defined 4 key pillars, the way we define our path from vision to value. We start with aligning on the vision and the strategy. Then we move on to building the case, the compelling argument why we need to make this investment, why we need to start the journey. And then we move on to the third step, planning the path forward. And then we conclude with delivering the business value. Today, as I mentioned, we will focus on aligning on the vision and the strategy. How we do it is the question. And we developed a comprehensive set of smart tools and content that comes with it, and also the services that you can consume. In the vision and strategy part, we look at identifying value drivers for SAP S4HANA. And here we include assets and services to explore and shape your company's digital vision. And for that, today, we wanted to do a deeper dive into some of these discovery, fully digitalized and virtual options and approaches that will help you and your teams make better educated decisions and discovering the value of S4HANA. And then these tool sets then build on the initial vision and the strategy. And then as we go deeper into the case, when we benchmark against our peers, when we link value drivers to business goals, and then ultimately when we create the how we do it picture from it, the plan for the path forward, we look at the solution roadmap, we evaluate complexities of the project and its rollouts, and then we look at the continuous innovation activities post-go live. And you will explore these in subsequent sessions. But let's dive into now the value discovery offerings. And this is such an exciting topic. We invested a lot, and obviously with the new global reality, we had to redesign a lot of these offerings. Let me start with the SAP Move in Motion. It is basically a design thinking event with multiple customers coming together, sometimes from the same industry, sometimes from adjacent industries, ideally from same-size companies, and we help together discover the value of digital transformation. We also invite SAP experts to that, so that we have the Ask the Expert element already in Move in Motion. It's been a very popular and also powerful way of connecting different value propositions. The next one is the S4HANA simulation game. This is another exciting piece and a new introduction to our portfolio of making your decision easier. This is basically a computer game in which groups of sometimes 10, maybe maximum 25 players compete against each other and manage a virtual company that we define in a real SAP S4HANA system. So we dive in, we experiment, we want to have an experience created out of this, and then we continue onto the decision-making process. And lastly, we also introduced a fully digitalized and virtual version of the card game, which is basically an experimental learning to support the high-level scope and value discovery of the solution in a fun and an interactive, but also empathetic approach, while we still focus on the business value. So let me just maybe dive into each of them very briefly. Move in Motion, as I mentioned, this is where we discover digital transformation in an interactive way. It's basically using the principles of design thinking, and we come in a one-day event, again for maximum of 10 customers, and we try to have 3 individual roundtables running in parallel. Now with digital technology, we are also considering offering this fully virtually. The objective, we want to focus on the why and the how. And we want to also talk about your hurdles. You know, what are the concerns? What are the main roadblocks that you might have in the organization that we can help unlock? And the engagement is obviously led by SAP and potentially an SAP partner of your choice. If I now look at the simulation game, again, here the question is, are we ready to play and ready to play to win in a live competition? And this really brings, the youth, the childness out of us, and we get engaged and we compete and experience the target architecture, which is S/4HANA. It's a real life ERP system, and it really only takes about 2 to 3 hours to experience the power of it. We start with basically creating scenarios. You help construct these scenarios. We create a fictitious or a virtual company from it. And then we look at how we can run that business. What are the transactions that we need to have? If we start in planning, how do we complete that in sales, marketing, procurement, production, and then eventually finance? How do we engage the teams in this process? How do we jointly solve problems running on this fully digital platform called SAP S/4HANA? And then we analyze the results. And again, we gain first-hand experience with the end-to-end processes that are integrated and provide real-time insights into business processes. So once we got into the gaming mode, we can then obviously explore the card game. The card game has capability cards, value cards, and reference cards. And what we did is we started with a physical version of it. We introduced that at Sapphire of 2019. And in the last 3 months, we completely digitalized this version. So you can sign up for the SAP S/4HANA card game and make sure that you have an experience that's pivoted on having your business challenges reflected in the capabilities and the power of the digital core and how we get there. There are also additional supporting and capabilities, assets, and tools. For example, the innovation discovery, but we also have now a new capability called the Customer Story Finder. We also make sure that the Business Value Advisor has the latest benchmarks for you, for partners, but also our SAP experts. And then we have the industry-specific documents that will provide you thought leadership, ideas, and point of views that our experts collected over multiple projects in your industry, similar industries, or adjacent verticals. So in terms of defining the vision and the strategy, our focus is clearly on making sure that it is an experience. You touch the system, it's a look and feel, and the vision becomes part of the execution. We also want to make sure that it's engaging, and equally, it's joyful and also has a living or lasting experience. I hope you enjoyed this short introduction into how we want to move together. As we mentioned, the intelligent enterprise starts here at the core. We're very confident that the product capabilities are ready for your needs, and rest assured that the organization that stands behind this will leave no ERP customers left behind. So with that, thank you for your attention, and I wish you a good rest of the sessions. Bye now.